Well, I have to say, this is a bit weird because, first of all, we're in mid-May and I've got a game to preview. It doesn't happen a lot. And the fact that this is a playoff semi-final second leg, Bristol City are all but out. I think the stat is 1 from the last 10 playoff campaigns where a team has lost the first leg at home and then gone on to turn it around. And that was the infamous Derby County at Ellen Road, where Derby won 4-2 after losing the first leg by a goal to nil at Pride Park. And actually, funnily enough, a bit of cyclical history there. Frank Lampard is now the manager of Coventry, who will be looking to do the exact same thing up at Sunderland. But from a Bristol City perspective, a 3-0 defeat in the first leg at Ashton Gate, where we've been so strong, obviously hamstrung by the red card on the verge of half-time as well. We're going to be going up to Bramall Lane with one available centre-back after the news that Rob Dickey's red card will not be overturned, so he will be unavailable. No Joe Williams either after his injury in the first half meant that he had to be subbed off. So no two very key players to this Bristol City team going to be unavailable as we look to overturn what will be close to an unassailable lead at Bramall Lane. Those are the two big pieces of injury news from a City perspective. No Dickey and no Williams, so they'll be unavailable. So Zach Vine is the only available centre-back, natural centre-back, that Liam Manley's going to have at his disposal. So Tanner and Roberts possibly as the two other centre-backs if City are to continue with the back four. Maybe he goes to a back five. Maybe he goes to a back four in this game with Roberts and maybe Tanner and McCrory. Who knows? Manning is seriously hamstrung for sort of options, especially in defence. Sheffield United, I'm not entirely sure, but they didn't really pick up any injuries and they look fairly set. And even if they were to pick up one, maybe even two, they've got a really deep squad and so much quality within the squad that they shouldn't really be a hell of a lot troubled. Well, I suppose we'll start talking about how on earth Bristol City could possibly turn this around. Definitely going to have to score the first goal. Definitely going to have to score it nice and early. Probably going to have to get 2 before half-time in terms of state of play in the game. And going to have to make the Bramall Lane crowd really nervous. It's going to be a raucous atmosphere. What we sort of produced at Ashton Gate in the first leg is what they're going to be producing in the second leg to make sure they sort of see their boys home, I suppose. Bristol City going to have to be ultra clinical. Pretty much all shots on target are going to have to go into the back of the net. And Sheffield United have been really good at keeping games nice and tight and making sure games really don't get away from them. And they've been doing that even against the top boys in this division. So for Bristol City to go there and have to win again, as I said, by 3 clear goals to even just force extra time is mammoth effort. However, a bit of hope. Teams have gone to Bramall Lane this season and scored 3 past Sheffield United. Only 2 in late January. Hull went to Bramall Lane and put on a bit of a tactical masterclass and won 3-0 on that day. Bit of caveat, obviously Sheffield United have been really chasing that game, sort of really let themselves open in a league game. You try and really go for the win. If Sheffield United are 1-0 down with 20 to go, I don't think they'll be going for the game. Put it that way, and won't be leaving themselves that open. So a bit of caveat over there. And then the other team was Leeds United, where they completed a late turnaround at Bramall Lane to win 3-1. Again, Leeds' quality compared to us, there's quite a disparity, as was shown in the 4-0 hammering at Ellen Road, penultimate game of Bristol City season. So a bit of caveat, but also a little bit of hope on the face of it. The game at Bramall Lane earlier in the league season was actually a really good Bristol City performance. We got a 1-1 draw out of it on the day and definitely deserving of the point and arguably on the balance of play, maybe even the 3 points and a couple of really good chances for either side. There was Sinclair Armstrong one, which was saved off the goal line by Michael Cooper. They were really good. There were some promising moments for Bristol City. You're going to have to be more clinical than that. That obviously won't be enough to make sure to ensure any sort of comeback. But there are definitely some sort of crumbs of positivity to take from it. Another important thing is how we're going to be lining up, especially in the forward areas. I mean, that also kind of depends on how the back line looks, whether it's a 4, whether it's a 3. All kind of depends. But there are going to have to be some clinical finishes on the pitch. Is there an argument to be made for Scott Weinstein? Is there an argument for Sinclair Armstrong with his sort of pace and ability? Maybe, perhaps. Naki Wells is quite a clinical finisher has been this season. Mehmeti, does he frustrate too much? Is he a natural finisher? Same maybe applies for Yuhiro Kawa. George Earthy, possibly. Look, there are options there for Manning. Maybe not as much as Chris Wilder, but still there are some options there for Manning. It's going to have to be a case of you're going to have to put some clinical finishes on the pitch with a balance of trying to make sure you get in the position where you have those chances on a regular basis, which Bristol are going to have to need, as I said. So, look, it's whatever happens. It's a light squad. It's a thin squad. It's one that's been really stretched, especially after that red card and the injury to Joe Williams on Thursday night. But it's going to be one where you just have to go with it a little bit of fearlessness and a bit of a more what can really go that badly wrong now sort of attitude. So yeah, it will be interesting to see how Liam Manning sort of tackles this game from a tactical perspective and in the lineup perspective. And it's no longer it's not a league game where you look at the finishes and maybe they make an impact and maybe we can get a draw out of this. We've got to make sure we start strong and really, really hammer home any sort of crumb of momentum we get. I'm going to go a bit bold for my predicted lineup. I'm going to go for the back four instead of the back three that we've actually been quite successful with second half of the season. Again, availability issues has really determined that. I'm going to go Max Leary in goal. Obviously, George Tanner, Viner, Roberts as centre back with McCrory left back. Pretty much all the defensive options we have, apart from Elijah Morrison, possibly. I'm going to go Jason Knight and Max Bird as the two midfielders. So maybe a bit too attacking, but needs must. And then I would go with Yu Hirakawa as the right winger on the right side of a 4-2-3-1 maybe. Mehmeti, Twine as the sort of three off the front of Naki Wells, possibly as the sort of starting lineup. Obviously, that'll be incredibly fluid and stuff, but that might be what I go with. George Earthy would not be, I wouldn't go, oh my God, what are you doing? But I just think maybe for this one, that is the best choice. If Campering is fully available, I would take Tanner out and put McCrory at right back, and then I'd put Pring at left back. Or maybe Pring comes in into centre back and replaces Hayden Roberts. Who knows? But I have a sneaky suspicion that Campering maybe may not fully be fit. But look, they know better than me. But yeah, that is a team I'd go for. Let me know your team in the comment section down below. Look, totally understandably, it's going to be a Herculean effort for Bristol. I've not really talked about Sheffield United that much because I don't think it overly matters. I just think it's a case of they've got to turn up and make sure they're even at 65%, 55%, they'll not lose the game by 3 goals, especially at Bramall Lane, backed by that full house maybe at Bramall Lane. I just find it so difficult. I think Bristol might win the game, like narrowly, but I just don't think it'll be anywhere near enough to mount any sort of feasible comeback, even close to it. Our away record's been really poor all season. There have been good performances on the road that have warranted more points, especially one at Bramall Lane, but there have been also moments where you go, this team it's not recognisable to the one that turns up at Ashton Gate. And we've actually been in really poor form recently, and maybe a suspicion of have we run out of steam towards the end of the season. Maybe coupled with the fact that availability issues are a massive problem with a lot of our best options in defence missing as well. It's going to be so difficult. From match prediction, if it particularly matters, you know what? I'll back Bristol City to win the game by 2-1, but I don't think it'll be anywhere near enough, and I think Sheffield United will comfortably see the job through, and we may well take the lead. We may well get pegged back, and that's where I think the bubble may well be burst. But yeah, let me know your predictions down in the comment section down below. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. This will probably, unless some utter miracle happens at Bramall Lane in our final match preview of the season. Thank you very much for watching. Keep safe, everyone, and I'll catch you all later for the match review of probably the final game of Bristol City season.